Hey everyone, I'm Daniel. I'm working on Lighthouse, and my talk is going to be about reducing PeerDAS bandwidth requirements. So first, a quick question. Who here is running an Ethereum node? Anyone? OK, and who is running an Ethereum node from home? Nice, cool, awesome. Actually, I'm pretty lucky that Leo just had his talk, so I can keep the introduction a bit short. So we have these blobs. Initially, during Denkun and Electra times, every node had to store and broadcast full blobs, which was actually a lot of traffic, and kept the blob limit pretty low. And now we move to PeerDAS with Fusaka. So again, we now extend the blobs so that if some part of the blob goes missing, we can reconstruct it. And through that, we can allow nodes to only store slices of all the blobs called columns. And this is pretty good. And yeah. However, we have the possibility to optimize a bit, because every Ethereum node has a consensus layer node and an execution layer node. And the execution layer client has a mempool of all pending transactions, including blob transactions. So when a new block arrives, a lot of the blobs in that block are actually already present at the local node. And that's nice, because we already have some of the data that we need to store. So in this example, we have already the data for blob 1 and blob 3, but blob 2 we don't have in our local mempool. This can be because we've just haven't seen it yet, or because it's actually included from a private transaction from a MEV builder. So after we receive the block, we are going to receive the data columns. And what's happening now is that we have some redundant traffic, because we already have some of the blob data locally, but we receive full columns. So the cells, so we call them cells because the blobs are the rows and the columns are the columns. So the cells marked in red here is traffic that we receive and send, but which is already known throughout the network. So this is where we can optimize with partial messages and partial data columns. So with this new protocol, nodes can now communicate between each other and basically tell the other node, hey, I got these blobs and I need these blobs, what do you need? And after negotiating this, they send only the parts that the other party is missing, saving a bunch of data in the bandwidth in the process. And another nice thing about this is that it's backwards compatible. So in this network, each circle is a node. Green nodes are partial message enabled. Red nodes do not support partial messages yet. So at first, everyone is still using full messages, but as more nodes in the network support partial messages, more and more traffic in the network uses this more efficient protocol. At some point, hopefully, all the nodes will support partial messages. Yeah. And being backwards compatible means that we are also not bound to a certain fork. So looking at the timeline here, first we had full blobs, then data columns. And we are not tied to Glamsterdam. So Glamsterdam is hopefully releasing pretty soon, but if not, if there's some delays or something, we can still go ahead with partial messages once we have done our final tests. And this is also nice because we can gather some data from mainnet, how this affects or how much bandwidth we actually save in practice. And this might inform core devs about potential future blobs per block increases. But if you pay attention during Leo's talk, you know that it's actually not that urgent to increase the blob count. You might ask yourself, why though? And yeah, here once again, a visualization. It's a bit blurry, but again, here's a green line. The green line is the target, and you see the actual usage in the white area below. It's the same thing Leo showed you. Demand actually goes down right now. There's no need to increase. But there's still a reason to do this thing. home stakers benefit from it. So residential connections often suffer from some bandwidth limitations, and that's not nice. So I think home stakers would be the parties that most benefit from this new feature. And in the description of this talk, I promised some numbers, like how much bandwidth will we actually save. And first of all, a disclaimer, it's really, really hard. It's basically looking into a crystal ball. We run some simulations, but simulating mainnet is very hard. There are like 10,000 nodes. Conditions are varying all the time. So yeah, take everything I will say with a pinch of salt. And also the numbers I'm going to show you are not to be seen as absolute numbers, but more like a relative comparison between scenarios. All right, so first, in a reference network with only full columns, in my test, it was like hovering around 750 kilobytes per second of column traffic. This is roughly equivalent to 20 blobs per slot. And if we use partial messages now, it actually goes down to around 250. So note the difference to scale. And 250 is like a third of 750, which is nice. Right. And as I told you, we actually can have mixed networks, so only some nodes supporting partial messages. And in my tests, this one is a bit complicated, but the top two lines represent the traffic for the full column-only nodes, and the lower lines is representing the partial-enabled nodes, which again are hovering around 350. So that's of course higher than the 250 for the fully partial network, because these nodes still need to talk to the full column-only nodes, but it's already a pretty good improvement. Right, the lines in the middle represent send traffic, but during preparation to the talk, I noticed there's a slight bug in the calculations, so disregard those for now. Yeah. And that's actually already it. I hope that if you are running a a home node, you consider running this as soon as it's available. I expect that we will ship a release in the coming months. If you have any questions, feel free to ask or get in touch. Thank you.
Thank you for the talk.